Hi, I'm Kylie and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. It was a goal of mine this year to start making YouTube videos about my very unique lifestyle as a professional dancer on a cruise ship. I have done 2 cruise contracts with Norwegian Cruise Line and I'm about to go on my 3rd. And actually my first 2 contracts were on the same ship, the Norwegian Pearl, and my first contract was in the Bahamas and my second contract was in the Mediterranean. Now, even though I am currently living out my dream job of dancing and traveling, it wasn't necessarily this easy to get here. To say the least, it was quite a journey, but honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way, and I hope that my story can inspire dancers that are also pursuing the same career path. It all started back in high school. As part of our senior exit project, we were required to do a project on a career that we wanted to do in the future, and I did know that I wanted to pursue dance professionally. I just wasn't sure what kind of job I wanted to do. After doing some research, I did come across dancers that were dancing on cruise ships. And I found that job to be very intriguing to me because it was 2 things that I really loved, dance and travel. And so after I graduated high school, I decided to go to several auditions. I auditioned for Disney Cruise Line, Norwegian Cruise Line, and Step One Dance Company, which is now with RWS. But they weren't back then. I did make it to the end of Disney Cruise Line and Norwegian Cruise Line, but I never ended up hearing anything. And in 2016, during my sophomore year of college, I actually got a job as a parade performer at Disneyland, Anaheim, California. I actually didn't go to any cruise line auditions for a while after that because I was so busy with Disney and I really enjoyed it. Fast forward to January 2020. Also known as the year of the pandemic. I had been working at Disney for 4 years by this time and I was starting to get a little tired of it, and I really did want to try and do a cruise line contract, so I decided to go back to some auditions. And so my contract got cancelled along with everybody else's. Now, Norwegian Cruise Line actually would keep us updated. They would send us emails about once a week, but after a while I feel like they kind of gave up and I stopped hearing from them. And over a year later, in September of 2021, I actually got called back to Disney and decided to continue working there. Now, I could see on social media that ships were starting to open back up again and people were getting contracts, and so I decided to reach out to Norwegian Cruise Line to see what I could do. And they asked if I could come to an in-person audition. I actually went to 2 that were local to me. I went to one in San Diego and then I went to one in Anaheim, California. And there were actually 2 different casting teams at those auditions, but both of them recognized me and knew me by name. And here's where I truly believe that if you never give up and you keep pushing yourself towards your goals, it will work out in the end. So in August of 2022, I got offered a rehearsal swing contract for the Pride of America. And if you don't know what a rehearsal swing contract is, it's when you go to the studios and you learn the shows. It's basically an in-studio swing if you need to cover for anybody, but you don't actually end up getting to go on the ship, which is what I wanted to do. But I knew that if I took this opportunity, they would be able to see me dance in person and hopefully get a contract there. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I got an email that the Pride of America was no longer offering entertainment on the ship and that my contract was cancelled. But they did include in the email that they would be giving that cast other offers, and actually the next morning I got a rehearsal swing contract offer for the Norwegian Pearl. So obviously I accepted it and I started the pre-employment process, which includes doing medicals. If you want to work on a ship, you have to get medically cleared to work, and this requires you to do a full physical examination, get blood work done, and you have to get officially approved before you can even enter rehearsals. So during my medical examination, my blood work came back abnormal, and the company that we did the medical through ended up making me go to a hematologist for consultation, and we discovered that I had this rare blood condition called hemochromatosis. And basically it just means that I have to do my blood work done specially in a citric acid tube. But because the hematologist appointment was so far removed, they ended up moving me over to the next cast, which was the Norwegian Gem. This started in May of 2023. 3 full years after I had been offered my first contract, and I finally made it to the studios. That rehearsal process was supposed to be 5 weeks, but they actually ended up extending me to another cast, the Oceania Marina, to rehearse with them for another 3 weeks. I really enjoyed the rehearsal process at the studios and came back fully inspired, and about a month later I finally got an offer to go on my first ship, which was the Norwegian Pearl. As I said before, this contract was in the Bahamas. We were there for only 3 months, so it was actually a really short contract, but I had already been offered the next Norwegian Pearl cast during rehearsals, and so I knew that I was coming back, but this time in the Mediterranean for 6 months. I really do enjoy life at sea, and I hope in my future videos I can show you a glimpse of that. I start my next contract in just under 2 months, and I will be on the Oceania Vista. We will be heading to the United Kingdom, the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and South America. But that's my story on how I got my dream job, and I hope it inspires you to always pursue your dreams, even if it takes a long time, and no matter what, the journey will always be worth it. Stay tuned for my future videos as I take you along my next journey aboard the Oceania Vista. Bye!